What is up, guys? Welcome back to another RBG healing guide. Today we're going to be talking about Holy Priest. We're going to go over the talents that I take, the honor talents that I take, and just some tips and tricks that I use in-game. Let's start off with the talents here. In the 15th tier we have Trail of Light, Enduring Renewal, and Enlightenment. Now out of the 15th tier you can either take Enlightenment or Trail of Light. I like using Trail of Light because of the healing output of it. Let's go down to tier 30. We have Angelic Feather, Body and Mind, and Perseverance. Now out of this for RBGs, Angelic Feather is the clear winner, being able to speed up your teammates as well as yourself with 3 charges. The 45 tier we have Shining Force, Singed, and Afterlife. I like going with Shining Force here. The knock is amazing. It's probably one of the best knocks in the game. Use it on Eye of the Storm, we can use it on Wrathy Base and LM. Just so many versatile uses for Shining Force. At level 60 we have Light of the Naru, Guardian Angel, and Symbol of Hope. Light of the Naru is the clear winner here too. If you can tell something about a Holy Priest, it's a very cookie cutter class. Serendipity reduces the remaining cooldown of the appropriate Holy Ward by an additional 2 seconds. That mixes in with your Flash Heals and your Prayer of Mendings. At the level 75 tier we have Surge of Light, Binding Heal, and Piety. Now out of this tier you can take either Surge of Light or Piety depending on your role in the game. Surge of Light will increase your single target healing output, while Piety will increase your AoE target output because it reduces the cooldown of Holy Word Sanctify whenever you use a Prayer or Mending. Divinity, Divine Star, and Halo are within the 90 tier. Out of these you have to go with Divinity. The 15% healing increase for the 6 seconds is immense. The other two are cast times and 15-second cooldown. They're not really worth taking. Level 100 tier we have Apotheosis, Benediction, and Circle of Healing. Benediction is the clear winner here because of the renewal proc. You don't want to waste too much mana putting up renewals on your teammates. So the Prayer Mending hopping from teammate to teammate, leaving the renew, is very important. Let's go over honor talents now. In the first tier we have Gladiator's Medallion, Adaptation, and Relentless. Out of this tier I like Gladiator's Medallion for the simple reason to get me out of CC. The next tier we have Defender of the Weak, Vim and Vigor, and Inner Focus. Vim and Vigor is the winner here because of the 20% increase in healing. I basically take this on any healing class that I play. Now the next tier we have Purification, Spiritual Cleansing, and Holy Ward. I like taking Holy Ward here because if you rotate it with the Greater Fade, then you are basically immune to CC at all times. The next tier we have Deliver from Evil, Holy Concentration, and Greater Fade. Once again, I'll take Greater Fade to pair up with Holy Ward. Greater Fade allows Fade to make all attacks miss you for 4 seconds. Along with the Holy Ward that makes you immune to CC, if you rotate these out properly, you should never be setting like a full kidney or anything of that nature. The next tier we have Miracle Worker, Rapid Mending, and Greater Heal. I like taking Rapid Mending here because it pairs up very nicely with Piety. So if I'm taking those two together, then it's a shorter cooldown, it's an instant cast, it jumps by an additional 10 yards, and also leaving that renew. The next tier we have Divine Attendant, Spirit of the Redeemer, and Ray of Hope. Ray of Hope is one of your best cooldowns as a Holy Priest. We don't even ever think about taking the other two. We always take Ray of Hope here. Now let's talk about passives before we jump over to the healing portion of the guide. We have Focused Will, our Mastery Echo of Light, Serendipity, and Spirit of Redemption. We'll start with Focused Will. Focused Will reduces damage you take by 15% for 8 seconds. This procs off of melee attacks against you. This stacks up to 2 times. Then we have our Mastery Echo of Light. All Echo of Light does is every time we heal, it puts a hot up on the target. Next we have Serendipity. Serendipity reduces the cooldown of the affected Holy Word. So we have Holy Word Serenity is reduced by 6 seconds every time you use a Flash Heal or a Heal. And then we have Holy Word Sanctify. That is reduced with Prayer of Healing, or if spec'd into Piety, it is reduced with Prayer of Mending. And last, we have Smite reducing the cooldown of Holy Word Chastise. Now let's shift over to the healing part of the guide. We're going to use these 3 target dummies as our raid group, just as we did in the Resto Druid RBG guide. Going into the team fight, pre-hotting is very important. We want to make sure that we have Renew up on every target. Now, if you have a DK or Warrior rushing into the team fight, you know they're going to be first targeted. So as soon as they start taking damage, we want to use our Artifact ability and then shoot a Prayer Mending into them. It's very important to keep your Prayer Mendings rotating, as it leaves a Renew and saves you mana, and also does a decent amount of healing itself. Now with Holy Priest, there's a lot of juking involved, a lot of fake casting. Because your main healing output, besides your Renew and your Prayer Mending, is Flash Heal. So you have to stand in the back of the line and cast Flash Heals into people to keep up your raid group. Now whenever we're talking about cooldowns of the Holy Priest, we have Holy Word Sanctify, we have Holy Word Serenity, Guardian Angel, and Ray of Hope. Those are your main cooldowns that you're going to be using on other players, as well as yourself. Whenever you're healing into a target, if your Flash Shields aren't doing quite enough, throw in Serenity, and continue to spam Flash Shields into the target to get your Serenity back off of cooldown. I also want to explain the Artifact ability real quick. What the Artifact ability does is it heals the target for a very minimal amount, but also increases all healing into the target by 45%. Now, at the beginning of team fights, like I said, I like pairing this up with Prayer Mending, but I also like pairing it up with Holy Word Serenity. Now, talking about the AoE heal, Holy Word Sanctify, you want to group it up where you get as many members of your raid group as possible. When we're using it, I want to include myself in this. I'm not going to use it here where I don't get the healing. We're going to use it on the entire raid group if we can. And also, we want to use it at the beginning of a team fight, because Prayer Mendings reduce the cooldown of that if you're running Piety. Now let's talk about Guardian Spirit as well as Ray of Hope. Now cycling these two, I like using Ray of Hope first. Shorter cooldown and it's more versatile. What Ray of Hope does is stop all damage and healing on the target, but increases your healing into the target by 200%, as well as other targets can heal into it as well. And now let's talk about Guardian Spirit, which is probably the most important cooldown for a Holy Priest. Misuse clues you a game. What Guardian Spirit does is you put it up on the target. When the target takes a fatal hit, they pop back up to 40% HP. And also, using it on another target will also apply it to yourself. Now let's talk about the survival of H Priest. We have Holy Ward, the Greater Fade, and Desperate Prayer. Desperate Prayer heals you for 30% of your maximum health, and increases your maximum HP by 30%. This is a 1.5 minute cooldown, but every time you take damage, it has a chance to refresh Desperate Prayer, making it back off cooldown. How I like to rotate them is if I see a rogue running at me, you know he's going to either cheap you or kidney you. This is where I use Holy Ward. I always try to play around Holy Ward rather than Greater Fade, because Greater Fade also makes you immune to damage. Now if you have a class running at you like a Ret Paladin, or you see a Stormbolt flying towards you, this is a great time to use the Holy Ward. If you have several DPS on you, and Chaos Bolts, Full Moons, anything of that sort flying at you, this is where I use Greater Fade. Now Desperate Prayer, as soon as anything gets on me, and I drop 30% below max HP, I use it right off the bat, because taking damage has a chance to refresh it, so I like using it early in the fight, because if you take damage and it refreshes, you can use it again, then it refreshes again, rinse and repeat. Now let's talk about the utility spells of a Holy Priest. We have Dispel Magic, Purify, and Mass Dispel. Dispel Magic is an offensive dispel, like a Purge. Purify is just a dispel. Mass Dispel dispels your entire team. Now your main job as a Holy Priest is to Mass Dispel as often as you can. Make sure to get as many people as you can within the Mass Dispel. Now the last utility spell is Leap of Faith. Leap of Faith is very important to use on tanks that are trying to get out of team fights, as well as DPS that just have bad and poor positioning. And the last cooldown you have is Divine Hymn. Now whenever I use Divine Hymn in an RBG setting, I'll use it and then instantly cancel it, just for the increase in healing done by 10%. You pair that up with Holy Word Sanctify, it has increased healing to your entire raid group, and you can usually pick up your team. Now in the last segment, we're going to talk about CCing as a Holy Priest. You have Holy Word Chastise, you have your Knock and Shining Force, and you have Mind Control. Setting up a Shining Force is very easy with Holy Word Chastise. What I like doing in Eye of the Storm is chastising the target, putting down a feather, and then using Greater Fade so nobody can CC me on my way to the target. That's an easy way to set up a very easy knock. Or another way is mind controlling the target into the position you want him to be in, and then knocking him from there. Lastly, let's talk about spells that I don't use all too often. That includes Holy Nova, Holy Fire, and Prayer of Healing. Prayer of Healing is really never used. It has too long of a cast time and uses up too much mana. Then we have Holy Fire and Holy Nova. I use both of these to spin nodes in RBGs. Holy Fire if it's just a single target, and then use Holy Nova to AoE the flag if you're one of the last ones alive. For my next upload, I'm going to be uploading Holy Priest gameplay, so make sure to stay tuned for that. It's been fun. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave any comments down below about any questions you have. Peace out.